We are so back. I apologize first and foremost that we/I have been absent, once again, unexpectedly and unannounced. Most of you already know by now, but the reason for that is because I got kind of like a semi last minute, I won't say last minute, it was more like rushed invitation, crunch time invitation to go to Shanghai for almost 2 weeks to be a part of the Infinity Nikki 1.5 live stream. That's probably old news by now. And we will talk about Infinity Nikki, I think, in a little bit. Not too much because, you know, I released a video about the state of the game. For those of you who aren't aware, I suppose we could start there since it's kind of like, I won't say a hot button issue, but it's the thing most present on my mind right now. But before I do, I'll just say thanks for waiting. I do apologize for disappearing. Lots to talk about. Lots that I could talk about. It's been, it hasn't been almost a month, has it? Surely not. 40 days. Lord in heaven, I do apologize. Okay. Well, then let's just get started. So, yes, that is the reason for my absence and the reason the Logging Off podcast took once again another hiatus. It was I will make a vlog about it, but this is probably the first time that I'm talking about the behind the scenes component of that trip. So first, let me just talk about the moment that I received that invitation. It was after kind of a day that I had spent really thinking. It was very serendipitous, providential, whatever you want to call it. I had spent a good time of that day just thinking, writing, journaling. Primarily about like my attitude toward my career and my attitude toward my success and whatever, like relevancy, all that stuff, my decision to kind of step away from Genshin Impact, how that impacted my career, but ultimately I don't regret the decision because, you know, if my passion's not there, my passion's not there. And kind of like coming to terms with it, accepting it, and embracing it, embracing the who knows component of my job. And I kid you not, that night, I received a message from someone on the Info team who I had spoken to previously, from like previous sponsored like streams and stuff. And I read the first half of the message, and it's essentially, you know, it's a greeting. It's a, hey, like, thank you for making content for the game. We would like to invite you to be a part of our first English live stream. And that alone sent my, it put my heart in my throat because I was like, because obviously, like, I'm picturing they want me to phone in or like record something here to be put in the official live stream. And I was like, wow. First of all, yes, we will do that. I will do that. I'll get in my chair and I'll record for you right now. And then I see that not only do they want me to appear in the live stream, they want to fly me out to China to record live in the studio. And I don't remember the last time I felt the way that I felt in that moment. I just stood up. And it's like when your fingertips are tingling and you can't, you kind of have, it was like borderline out of body experience because I have been, this is the part that I haven't said anywhere and I'll just say it here. You know, I made content for Hoyoverse for a long time, almost probably 2 years of my life. I gave to covering Hoyoverse games. Now, obviously, it was mutually beneficial. I made my income from covering, especially Genshin Impact, but HSR2. So it's not like they owed me anything. I never felt like they owed me anything. But flying out to Shanghai to potentially like visit the Hoyoverse office, some creators have been given that privilege and have that honor, I suppose. And some creators have appeared in like, they've never had a content creator, of course, in a live stream that is usually reserved for voice actors and developers. Totally fine. Makes sense. One of the most prestigious gacha games in the world. That was always something that I kind of hoped for, like a long-term wishful dream that I would have a reason to go to Shanghai someday. And of course, I always thought that that would be through Hoyoverse. And obviously that would have been cool. But I truly could not have imagined at the time a more perfect opportunity and a result of, it's a result of all of my work. Because, the reason that I have the poll in the Infinity Nikki community, or maybe in the content space that I do, is because of my history in the gacha space. I didn't just like poof overnight. It was a result of basically like 5 years of effort and my decision to be somewhat devoted and to put my hope in Infinity Nikki. So I just was so grateful, and I could not have imagined a more perfect opportunity to go. So that invitation alone was amazing. They agreed to fly both me and Joshua out so that I wouldn't have to be there alone. And because of, it was just kind of like a logistic thing, we had 2 primary recording days, and those recording days were 1 week apart. So I had like almost like a 5-day period where I was just free to do anything. And there were obviously buffer days before and after the work days. So it was a kind of a scramble to get ready and make it the trip. I had to go down to LA and spend hours in the Chinese embassy to get a visa. And I was having like flashbacks to that time that I didn't make it to a Tommy Hilfiger trip to Amsterdam that I was supposed to be at because I made a mistake and I didn't get my passport in time. And yeah, the American federal bureaucracy just failed me. And I was having like serious anxiety about that. But once I had my visa and the tickets were booked, it was just a matter of getting out as much content as possible and scheduling as much so that, this wouldn't make a big dent. The absence of almost 2 weeks and then, dealing with any jet lag after wouldn't make a big dent. So that is the reason that there was no podcast before and there's been like no podcast after, which wouldn't make sense. That's why it's been 4 weeks. Has it been 5 weeks? 42 days? I don't want to talk about it. It was a mad dash to get to China. So, I at this point, I don't know when the vlog will come out because there's 2 primary things that I did. In addition to the live stream, I recorded a vlog of our trip and our travels in Shanghai, and then obviously behind the scenes footage from the live stream. And then I also filmed an office tour that was also like a dev conversation. So I spoke with someone and I asked some questions. At this point, I do not know when those are going to come out. Things are kind of up in the air right now, just with the state of Infinity Nikki right now. But we'll get to that briefly. But the trip itself, wow, it was very surreal. It was so surreal. It was so surreal to be in a country and in a culture so different from my own. America is such an individualistic, conceptually freedom, personal freedom oriented country versus China, you could argue is almost the opposite. And I think I won't talk about it too much because I don't want to speak in generalities. But what I will say is one of the things I love, and I think is one of the greatest privileges of traveling is getting immersed in a culture, especially for a longer period, like if it's longer than a week or so or a few days, and just like kind of living in a relatively normal, like day-to-day scenario, and getting a glimpse into the lives of people who live in this country or in this particular city, because China is huge. It is, how do I say this? China, I think, I should just speak of my own experiences. I think a lot of the education I received when I was younger and the way that maybe older or maybe adults talked about China put like a negative perception of it in my mind. And I mean beyond just government. I mean like people. It's kind of all connected. Like I think most of us would say we've received some kind of negative propaganda about China as a whole, culturally, that later we've retrained. And I think, getting introduced to Chinese games was probably the first time that I really started to rethink what like totally unnecessary negative conditioning have I received and retained about China. Now, I'm not talking about government. I'm not going to get into government stuff. This is not really relevant to what we're talking about. All I'll say is I think it's so great to spend time in a culture and really like it comes to life, and you can learn about something in the way people live and the way people think, and like the difference between Confucianist cultures and what would we be, like Socrates philosophy that is more self-focused. You can know that in theory, but when you actually live there and you feel the differences and you also feel our similarities, it changes the way that you perceive it. Like it, in a way, it like forces itself upon you in a good way, because it becomes real. And if I think traveling, I don't know if I'll say it requires empathy. It's kind of a weird discussion, and I don't want to throw around that word, but it kind of prompts it. It prompts like, you are a human and I'm a human, and we live so differently and we think so differently and we've been raised differently, but we also like, we have things that we are just kind of indoctrinated in us because of our culture and our upbringing. But then we have things that we meet in the middle on, in the ways that like, I can see the value of this component of your culture that is so, so, so different from mine. And that can be shared. And it was cool having conversations with some of the staff on Infold, a staff of Infold who I would say I built like a relationship with just on a personal, non-business level, discussing these things and having conversations that I might not be able to have with other Americans, or would be more just difficult to talk about. So that cultural sharing and like not acceptance necessarily, but more like I see you and you see me and we're different, but we're also the same. It just comes to life when you visit a foreign country and you really try to like dig your heels into it, dig down a bit. So that was amazing. That was so cool. Being a part of the live stream also, it was intense. It was a tense environment. Oh man, do I get into it now? I'll get into it a little bit. So unfortunately, the experience of going to Shanghai, not necessarily being there, but like getting excited over the 1.5 update, especially like starting from being on the plane and reading through the script and being like, wow, we're getting co-op and we're getting clothing dyeing and there's going to be the Sea of Stars and this new miracle outfit. And like, this is so exciting, to filming and recording it and, reading our script. We didn't have enough time to gotcha scripts are very long. They're very, gotcha developers seem to find a way to come up with the most complicated and wordy ways to describe things and concepts. So yes, for those who are wondering, we were both reading off of a teleprompter for almost everything. It was great. It was great. All of it. The busyness and the nervousness, and like, it was This was the first time I've done a more serious pre-recorded something or other. Most everything I've done formerly that was this hardcore, or this like official, I should say, was more comedy. Like we did the Crown Channel show, if you remember, the Twitch Genshin comedy show. That was obviously much more lighthearted. And we did, me and Jake did that Star Rail Penacony introduction. Our segment was also super lighthearted and kind of a sketch. This was not a sketch. There were, some jokes in there, but it was also, let me not waste the viewer's time. We're going to give them the information in the most succinct but also fun way possible. So, I wanted to take it seriously, and I'm ultimately okay, now we'll get into it. The live stream and the excitement of that has been obviously overshadowed in my heart a little bit by the current state of Infinity Nikki. For those who don't know and aren't involved in the community, short and simple, insane amount of bugs. Co-op doesn't work. The Sea of Stars, the implementation of the Sea of Stars essentially retconned our initial intro and re-explained a few things of the original story that we played. And what was the other thing? Oh, the monetization has like seriously ramped up in a very short time, and it's making people worried. So I spent a while just kind of organizing my thoughts about it. I waited a week to post anything about it because I didn't want to be reactionary. And my golden rule I think this stems from the PR industry. If there's something that's an issue, give it 3 days. And if it's still an issue in 3 days, then address it. But that prevents you from having an emotional response. It also gives you time to process and think clearly. And I told my chat yesterday, there have been way more times that I have regretted speaking quickly than I have regretted speaking slowly, taking my time to speak, and being like late to an issue. So I decided to take my time, and it's been kind of an emotionally taxing couple of weeks, especially this last week, because, and I said it all in the video, so I'm not going to say it all again, but I put my face on the update, and to be very clear, I do not regret doing that. I do not regret accepting this invitation to be a part of the live stream. I don't regret it at all. I wouldn't go back and change it, even knowing how things were going to turn out. Because even right now, maybe for a lot of reasons. For one, there's no way for me to know that this is going to... I did anticipate bugs, to be clear, but I didn't think it was going to be this severe. I even knowing all this, I wouldn't turn down the invitation now. I wouldn't tell my past self to turn down the invitation because I did all of that in good faith, and it was still such an honor to have done it. So just to clear the air on that, I don't regret it. You absolutely, in any capacity, I have seen some comments of people saying that they feel bad for me. You do not need to feel bad for me. All in all, I still got like basically a free Asia vacation and exploration trip as a baseline. I got like a once in a lifetime experience, and I still don't regret having faith in Infinity Nikki, even if right now it feels like we've obviously all been let down. So just to be clear about that, no regrets. But yeah, so I spent my time thinking about it, and I ultimately decided, the more I thought about it, I remembered my position, like the way that they scripted me on the live stream was essentially there to be a representative for the players. They had me asking questions about the update. They had me asking about compensation and rewards and stuff. They had me there bringing feedback from the players. Excuse me. They painted me as like a representative for the people. Obviously, there was a limitation to what I was able to ask and say because it was all scripted. But if that is who they presented me to be, I want to be that. And even, this is obviously a much more serious and upsetting time, much more tense time than the live stream when people are all excited about the update and new things coming to the game that they love. I would like to also take them at their word that they want to invite that energy into their relationship with their players. They have a reputation of listening and responding. I think that they've built that kind of reputation already. Just specifically for Infinity Nikki, I can't speak for the other games. I would like to believe them when they say that they're listening to players. And I would like to believe them that they want us to be honest. And I do still have faith in the game. I still have hope. I'll say that. I have hope. So, a few people have said, I've seen some people saying that it was like a big risk for me to do a video like this. And like, I kind of agree. I can see how it seems that way. And it is to go from being like the spokesperson for the, the update to being, to posting like a critical video essentially of that patch itself. It is a bit funny. But ultimately, like, my role in both of those scenarios was theoretically the same. Let me ask questions on behalf of the players and let me essentially encourage and ask for the game to be good and better. So yeah, I do have hope. I will say I'm kind of emotionally exhausted. Yesterday on stream, I was like, well, before stream, I was thinking, I need a break from gacha games. I need a break from this intense environment. I want to play a story game, I just want to play a story game. So I brought back Final Fantasy VII and just played that and played Rivals, and it was great. Well, the Rivals was actually awful. We had 4 of the worst games of the season, but all good, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of, another thing. We went to Japan. We went to Japan for 3 of the days that we were on the trip. I guess it was probably like we had 2 full days and 2 half days, I think. Yeah, so a total of 3 days essentially. Wow. We were obviously much more touristy and trying to cram as many activities as possible. That was so awesome. We somehow got this hotel. It was one of the cheaper hotels in the Ginza, Tokyo area. But we managed to get this room. Joshua managed to get this room with a huge bathtub and this incredible city view. Like, it was not kidding. There was like a shower and then a bathtub and then a huge window where you could see like the city, and you could see, it was like a high-rise hotel. It was a business hotel. So there's a business section from the first like 15 floors and the 16 floors where the hotel started. Like, so great. We used our travel points to cover the cost of the trip because it was during kind of an expensive time period to visit Japan. A lot of people are there for the sakura and for the other blooms. So that was so cool. I miss it. I would love to go back. But like, all in all, man, I'm so grateful for the trip and for the opportunity to see these places that I don't know if I would have seen them otherwise. So all in all, despite the sadness of the current situation, I'm still so happy and grateful, and I don't regret a thing. Truly, I don't. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things unfold in Infinity Nikki, in the Infinity Nikki space in the next couple weeks. Should be interesting, at least. I hope the best. I really, really do. Okay. That's done. Infinity Nikki. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, yeah, let's do media that moved me. Thunderbolts. Asterisk. So good. Was that our first good Marvel movie since Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Well, Deadpool Wolverine, it's not my style of movie necessarily. It was funny, but I don't love it as much as some people love it. Let's see. Thunderbolts. Captain Brave New World, unfortunately, didn't think it was good. The Marvels, didn't think it was good. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, good. So good. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, so good. Oh my gosh. It's like great movie, dud. Great movie, dud. Listen to this lineup. Eternals, overhated. Spider-Man No Way Home, great. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness has its ups and downs. Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, loved. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium, cool moments, but Guardians of the Galaxy, amazing. The Marvels, Wolverine and Deadpool, not my style, but I respect it. Captain America Brave New World, unfortunately. And then Thunderbolts. Wow. What a film. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I already want to watch it again. I have to decide now how much I'm going to spoil it. We might have to do a spoiler because I mostly want to talk about. Okay, I'll talk about it conceptually first. So I'll try to be as minimum spoilers as possible. You can probably assume this from the cast and from not the cast, but the characters that are involved. This movie, at its core, is about redemption. It's about forgiveness, self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others, and like repentance for the past. And I think now is the perfect time for a movie like this to hit the mainstream. Because for so many reasons, like, it's funny. It's funny in modern culture, and this could be more specific to youth culture, online culture. I think people have a tendency to put people into nice lists and a naughty list. And it's kind of like you do one thing that people don't like and you're marked as evil forever. You're marked as, blacklisted forever in the cultural sphere. And this movie is so opposite to that. And this is really like, I would argue this is an origin story of the Thunderbolts. I think this movie is very countercultural because I saw the cast of this and I was like, or I saw the characters. Okay, we have the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. We have a Black Widow, Yelena Belova, who's a trained assassin and has killed countless innocent people. We have John Walker, who was Wyatt Russell put on one of the most incredibly hateable performances that I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Fantastic. Truly like a hateable loser. And I would argue his arc is just beginning. But he is a villain. And also, there's another angle where he's like a bastardization of a character that we love. A truly good character. Like, he really is the dark shadow of Captain America, right? And then we have the Red Guardian, who I don't know too much about his backstory, to be honest. I think I'd have to rewatch the Black Widow one-off movie. But also kind of an off-color character, obviously. Like, that's the whole point. Ghost, Taskmaster, and the Void, the Sentry. This is not just a ragtag team of like questionable characters. These are characters with dark, evil backstories. Evil and blood and death. And are currently in bad places too. So this movie, if you really spend time thinking about it, I think it seeks to challenge you as the viewer. If you really let it, where do you draw the line on who is eligible for forgiveness? Who is eligible for redemption? You could argue, of course, we could talk about Bucky Barnes here. He he was brainwashed into doing evil things. So it's easy enough to say, yeah, like he does not deserve to be a villain. He just had villainy essentially thrust upon him. You could even argue Yelena Belova. Black Widow kind of didn't have a choice. Also kind of brainwashed, right? But then you get to like John Walker. No one coerced him into doing what he did and being who he is. You're getting more into the dark, hateable villain category. Like it's not as easy to dismiss as you were forced into this evil role, right? So I think if you really, really spend time thinking about it, if you allow it to, I think that this movie is exceptionally countercultural. It's not just a ragtag team. It's not just morally gray. It's like, it's truly about redemption, and it's about forgiveness and overcoming. Like, we could talk a bit more about, another angle I want to talk about is Bob. We'll get to Bob. It's a bit more spoilery. But yeah, the Thunderbolts as a whole, as a unit, that quality, that virtue, you could say, is amplified. And I think that's great. I think that this is great. And there's more I could say, but I would be a bit more spoilery if I do. So I won't. Okay. Spoiler section, starting now. So jump to the timestamp if you don't want to get spoiled. Okay. I was crying like a baby at the ending. At Bob's fight with the Void. Mental health, self-hatred, parental abuse, the Void, emptiness, depression, regret, all that. I could not help but see parallels between Bob / the Sentry / the Void and my beloved RPG Maker game, Omori. And if any of you have played it, you know that one of the final sequences of the game is our main character, Sunny, fighting against this dark, self-created version of himself, like a younger version of himself, who he created as a coping mechanism to deal with the regrets that he has and the guilt that he has. And these are kids, mind you, so, it's a whole nother level. But the final sequence of the game, like the last fight, is him against himself. And while he's fighting and partially losing to Omori, Sunny is fighting Omori. Omori is saying all of these horrible things to Sunny. You killed her. You hurt everyone around you. You're sick. You're broken. You're useless. You're nothing, essentially. And through all of that, Sunny is hearing the voices of his friends and things that he's heard from them. Let me see. I will pull it up because I'm butchered if I don't. Sunny is calming himself with words that he's remembering from his friends. Maybe one day things can go back to the way they were before. You'll forgive yourself, won't you, Sunny? We made the mistake of leaving each other when we needed each other most. This time we'll stay together. And I think that is almost exactly what was happening with Bob and the rest of his new friends, the Thunderbolts. They're hugging him. They're holding him. Even after Yelena, obviously that made sense. But, John Walker, him and Bob were beefing from the beginning. And the Red Guardian essentially acting as like a stand-in father figure to Bob. And just the look and the anguish on his face. And it was one of the most beautiful sequences I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. And obviously I know it has had extra sentimental meaning because of the parallels I could draw with Omori. I just was so impressed and I was surprised. I don't know why I wasn't expecting this, but like what else would you do with a movie that highlights such dark characters with such dark pasts or sometimes dark presence? And I love how they handled Bob's story. And I also love that it wasn't a complete ending. You know, the void didn't just disappear when he beat him, right? He just pushed him back inside. And I think for people who struggle with depression, people who struggle with mental health, that is so meaningful because, you know, the moment you gain the upper hand on your darker thoughts, they don't just disappear. And they can be provoked and they can be brought back, and you can have flashbacks or things that trigger those feelings to come back. Like anyone who's had a fought with anxiety in their life knows that, you know, something could be happening in the present that's really, really small from the outside, but it's associated to something traumatizing in the past, and it can cause and elicit almost the same reaction from you. And that's something that you have to fight to rationalize, or you have to fight to come back to yourself. And I just think it was so beautiful. The friendship, the forgiveness, the redemption, the family, found family and family reunion. It was great. I already want to see it again. What a film. What a film. Loved it. Marvel's cooking right now. And I'm very, very hopeful. We're catching up on The Last of Us. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like what HBO is doing, and I'm afraid they're going to butcher another story like they did with Game of Thrones. But not truly understanding the underlying... I'm afraid that The Last of Us HBO show is going to reduce and dumb down The Last of Us and remove everything about the game that makes it the masterpiece that it is. And I already feel like it's going down that path, so we haven't even watched the 4th episode. We're just kind of avoiding it because we don't want to be disappointed. But ultimately, my main criticism is about the writing and the overall vision for the show. I think they're missing the mark. And I hope they can turn it around. But either way, part 1, part 2, masterpiece. Joshua literally played it again, or picked up his playthrough that he'd left, his second playthrough, because we wanted a detox from the show. I'm sorry. HBO Last of Us enjoyers, no hate to you. It's all good. We can disagree about media. All right, what else do I have? I'm still reading Misborn. I've been listening to it mostly on audiobook. What a great man. There is something so wonderful about reading a book from someone whose perspective on life you respect, because it is, you feel like you're being enriched every time a character is about to go through an arc. Like, this happens a lot in Brandon Sanderson books, but especially in Misborn, whenever the character starts reflecting on like their weaknesses, and I'm seeing those weaknesses in myself, I'm like, okay, this character's about to go on an arc. Me too. I'm going to learn from them, and I'm going to learn from Sanderson how I can apply the challenges that this character is going through to myself. And I love it. I love it. And I love books that make you feel like you are growing as a person. Not make you feel. I love books that make you grow as a person. And I feel that way about every Brandon Sanderson book I have read. So, living life. Love reading. I love reading. Okay? So if you need a book recommendation, leave it in the comments. Don't trust TikTok, because I've been betrayed by TikTok too many times. Oh, I also read a book. I wanted to read a piece of Chinese literature while I was in Shanghai. I'm planning to make a video about it on Dish Crates, but I got to get my fourth wing Smackdown video up first. But I read a book called Half a Lifelong Romance. It was so devastatingly beautiful, and it will take your emotions on a wild roller coaster. For being a quiet book as it is in some capacity, it was great. I learned a lot about specifically Shanghainese culture and its history. I was deeply moved by the story and the way that the author, Eleanor, Eileen. Oh no, Eileen. Eileen Chang. The way that she writes, she did one thing I love and appreciated was how well she used description of details and atmosphere to prolong moments. There were a lot of quiet moments. There were a lot of like tough conversations that were happening in the game in the book. And she did a great job of allowing moments to hang in the air by using description of, the way the environment sounds or what views was in sight or the weather. And it wasn't it's not like a small talk about the weather type of way. It's like letting you exist in the moment with the characters. Great. So great. I think that's all I got for now. I'm trying to think if I have anything more to talk about. This is technically the first. Is this the first Tuesday of the month? Or first Thursday of the month? Oh, it's the second Thursday of the month, isn't it? The 8th? It is technically. Yeah, okay. Sorry. We missed the first one because this would have been with me and Joshua. But we will record Joshua and I together talking soon. Probably next month. Unless we have something specific to do before then. But yeah, thank you for the wait. I'm sorry that it was a wait. Appreciate you guys so much. Let me know what's going on with you, what you're reading, what you're doing. And stay well. I'll see you next week. True and real. Bye-bye.